Vice President Barr was originally going to say the Pledge of Allegiance. We have Mr. Jack Janda, did I say that correctly? Yes. Who's with us from Troop 271. Is that correct, troop number?
Yes.
From St. Michael's. And you can just come right up here, Jack. And if you would lead us, please, in the Pledge of Allegiance, we would certainly appreciate that. All right. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. You okay?
Yeah, thanks.
And leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, good luck with everything. Thank you. All right, good evening and welcome to the November 8th study session of the Livonia City Council. This meeting sets the agenda for the 1933rd regular meeting, a voting meeting that will take place on Monday, November 22nd, 2021. We have all members of the council with us this evening, except for Councilmember White. Excuse me. The only announcement that I have is that we have new data this evening on items 10 and 12. Does anyone on the council have any announcements they'd like to make? All right, would anyone in the audience like to address the council on any item not in this evening's agenda? All right, moving on. Tonight's meeting is a study meeting. There will be no votes taken. However, council members will offer either one resolution or a combination of resolutions for each item. Resolutions offered may include an approving, denying, or referring resolution to a committee or city department for its report and recommendation. A resolution of no further action may also be offered. There are some items that will simply be received and placed on file for the information of the city council. Please note that all of the items on tonight's agenda will move on to the regular meeting of Monday, November 22nd, where they will officially be voted upon. If you would like to participate in any of the agenda items that are taken up this evening, please approach one of the podiums on either side of the room when the item is called, and you will be recognized at the appropriate time. Generally, the petitioner, whether that is a private entity or the city, will make the initial presentation, followed by remarks from those in the audience wishing to speak. So please come to the podium when the item is called. When you reach the podium and you're recognized, please state your name and address for the record so that your remarks may be properly attributed to you in the minutes for the meeting. It will also let those watching at home and the council members know who is speaking to them. And with that, we start with new business. Item number 1 is a request to approve the Livonia Firefighters Union LFFU contract agreement for the period of December 1st, 2021 through November 30th, 2024, and this comes to us from the Civil Service Department.
Thank you.
Good evening, Ms. Mayor.
Good evening, Madam President, council members. I'm very excited to be standing before you with a new fire agreement. As you mentioned, it's a 3-year agreement, and we are actually ahead of schedule. The current contract is still in effect, which is rare. It's a rare occurrence that we settle with our unions prior to expiration of the current contract. So we're very excited. The negotiations went very well. They were extremely professional and collegial, and it was just a very good negotiation on both on the city side and the union side. So you have all of the changes summarized for you in a letter from our labor attorney, Greg Schultz, and if you'd like, I can run through them, or I would be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Councilmember Jelly.
Thank you, Madam President. Ms. Mayor, I'm looking at the letter from Mr. Schultz, and I understand the high-level overview that's been provided here. Item number 13, it refers to a capital TEMS team. Can you provide some kind of background in regards to what that is specifically?
Yes, I can. The TEMS team is the Tactical EMS Unit. It is actually firefighters that are a special unit. They have special training. They go into situations where our police officers have been injured during a situation, usually a high-level situation, and these firefighter paramedics are, as I mentioned, specially trained to go into the situation once it's safe for them to do so, to tend to the, or to treat the officers until they can get them to the hospital.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Vice President Barr.
Denise, thanks for being with us again. Just as I go through this letter, I have a few, want to take the opportunity to educate myself on a few of these things. So, first, just looking at the increases in personal business hours and sick leave hours, just refresh my memory. We have a vacation day policy, right?
Yes,
And then there's the sick days on top of that, and then
That's
there's personal days on top of the sick days yet?
that's correct.
Is that right?
That's correct.
So with this, there will be a total between sick days and personal days of 10 days in addition to the vacation policy, if I'm looking at this
An-
right?
An increase in 10 days, is that what you're saying?
No, I probably did say that, but I misspoke.
Okay.
It'll end up with, they're going to 3 days of personal days and 7 days of sick days in addition to whatever their vacation policy is, right?
We are increasing the personal business by 1 day,
Mhm.
and the sick hours, we're actually increasing that for the second tier of employees. We actually have 2 tiers, because we adjusted the benefits years ago as to, and every time we come back to the table, they want the tiers to be either adjusted or done away with. So what we did was we increased, in order to stay competitive with other communities, we increased the sick leave hours from 11 per month to 14 hours per month, which actually gives them 7 days per year, 7 sick days per year.
Right, and that's in addition to the personal business days, right?
Yes,
Okay, is there, I assume there's a cap as far as how many of those they can accumulate?
personal
From your
business?
Either,
Personal
Personal.
business is use it or lose it in the calendar year.
okay,
And sick leave, they can accrue it, they can accrue up to a certain number of hours. And when they leave, there's a special calculation that is done on what is paid out. They
so
don't,
that's that sick leave bonus that's referenced?
right,
Okay.
exactly.
What is that cap on the sick leave hours that they can accrue?
I'm gonna turn now to Mike Slater.
Okay,
I believe, Mike, is it 1,800 hours?
it's like that stinking
it's
bar, he's
800
always got
hours.
these numbers questions.
Is it-
You came, Mike, I had to ask you a question.
I know, I don't remember off the top of my head either.
There's, Mike Slater, Director of Finance. There's 2 different tiers, and I don't have them totally memorized, but there is a payout formula where only a portion of the hours accumulated are paid out. So it's, I believe the first 25 days are paid at 25%, the next 50 days are paid at, next 25 days at 50%, and the final 25 days at 70%. But I would have to actually have the detail, and I don't have the contract in front of me.
Right, I don't either.
That's fine, thanks.
Thanks, Mike.
And then the 4-day work week that's talked about in here, I assume that essentially matches what we did with the police recently? Is it the same concept?
It's the same concept, and that's for the 40-hour per week employees.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilmember McCullough?
Thank you, Madam President. Through the chair to Denise. Denise, just a quick question, more of a clarification. I'm looking at number 4, which is the new classification of paramedic cadet. This will be a new program?
This is a brand-new program.
Okay.
Yes.
I want to highlight that because it's very innovative. And with obviously public safety, including fire, I know we're doing better on fire than we are with police. I think this is a very cool thing that will pair well with, we also have the program for the high school students and Schoolcraft, I think that we're partnering with.
Yes.
And the last question I do have for probably the millions of viewers out there is, if anybody's watching and looking, is this something also for the, like our police, that would we sponsor people through this fire training?
Yes, that's what we're doing. We will hire them as a paramedic cadet, and then we will pay to put them through the fire academy,
Okay,
and they will have up to a year to get their firefighter 1 and 2.
I think that's great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilmember Toy?
Thank you. To the millions of viewers, if I may ask, do we have an approving yet?
This is a study.
That's waiting for you.
But we got to offer, you right?
No, we haven't had anything
Okay.
off.
I'd like to offer the approving and good job, and this was one of your easier ones because you're getting ready to retire, perhaps is that part of it?
It wasn't easier because I'm getting ready to retire, but I am. It was,
Well, the millions of people up there,
it was easier because the last one was so big,
yeah, that's what I
right?
thought,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
Good,
Yeah.
okay, well, good job.
Thank
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll offer that.
Would you like that on consent?
I don't know, can we put it on consent?
Yeah, contracts can go on consent.
Sure, we'll put the contract on consent,
There are no
Madam Chair.
objections? No one objects, I don't see, so we'll put that on consent.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Denise. Sorry, I just.
No, you're fine, you're fine, you're fine.
All right, item number 2, request to approve budget adjustments for the fiscal year ending November 30th, 2021. This comes to us from the Department of Finance. Good evening, Mr. Slater.
Evening again, Ms. Council. Tonight, we're bringing before you something we've done towards the end of each fiscal year for a number of years now, whereby we go through our results for the fiscal year that we're in. This year, it's fiscal '21, which will end on November 30th, end of this month. Take a look at what our actual results are in comparison to budget. And happy to say, there's a number of areas where our results have been favorable, and those dollars can be reallocated. The total budget that we're proposing to reallocate is $2,790. I've got the list of the items that would make up
Madam
that
President,
amount.
before he keeps going, I just think we should correct, it's $2.79 million, not $2,790.
Oh,
You
I'm
misspoke.
sorry.
It's just a
Thank
big
you.
difference, so I wanted to
There is
clarify
Yeah,
that.
that would be the end of my career. I'd retire right there. Thank you.
For the millions of viewers at home.
Yes,
2.79 million. There's 11 items that make that up. And again, this year, we're proposing that those dollars be split 50/50, with half of it being moved to the VEBA, which is our funding for retiree health care. As everyone knows, we are still well underfunded in that trust fund, and this just accelerates the date where we become fully funded. And then secondly, the other half would go to our building improvement fund, which we are setting aside for major building projects, which we know will be coming down the road. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Madam President,
Vice President Barr.
this is becoming tradition for us, and it's an excellent tradition of how to handle these. I wholeheartedly support the proposal to split this between VEBA and the building fund. I think it's sound financial management. I'm glad we're still in this scenario. Hopefully, it happens for many more years to come. And I'd be happy to offer it approving for consent if there's no objection.
Any objections to placing that on consent? All right, seeing none, we will place that on the consent agenda. You
Counsel.
don't have to come back unless you would like to. We're always happy to see you, Mr. Slater. All right, item number 3, this is an award of bid for, this comes to us from the Department of Parks and Recreation for the fabrication and installation of a fence at Union Briggs Cemetery from budgeted funds. Good evening, Mr. Davis.
Good evening, Council President, members of council. Nice to be here. We are before council right now for fabrication and installation of a fence at Union Briggs Cemetery. That's a cemetery, for those of you who don't know, on 6 Mile Road between 275 and Haggerty Road, excuse me, I almost said Halsted, right next to Buca de Beppo. And Trinity Theater as well. So we have, we went out for bid. We received one company that gave us an alternative, gave us a proposal for 2 different options. Per the approval of the Historic Preservation Commission, we are asking council to approve the nationwide construction bid of $21,000 for this project. This is a partial fencing of the cemetery. It is basically going to encapsulate around Trinity Theater. That will be phase 1, and then we'll come back probably next year and do the front on the 2 ends of it. I'd be happy to answer any questions council might have at this time.
Councilmember Donovan, then Councilmember Toy.
Thank you, Madam President. Through the chair, Mr. Davis, thank you for being here. Out of curiosity, did you decide to go with the $21,000 bid because the material, the ultra aluminum, and you didn't want to use iron? Or did you just go with a bid because the price?
I mean,
You can't say
price-
that's a great question.
Thank you, Councilman. That is a great question. Apparently, I'm becoming predictable in my old age as well, so it was priced. We also didn't know what the Historic Preservation Commission was going to approve. This is the first time they've actually approved for fencing alternative material as opposed to the wrought iron. That's typically in the past all they've approved. So we went out and we asked for alternatives. We got one, and they actually approved it, and we felt it was cost-efficient to go with the lower-priced material.
And then aluminum is going to be painted or powder coated black to kind of
Yes.
look like? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Davis. Thanks, Madam President.
Okay to go?
Did you want to say something? Okay. Councilmember
Okay.
Toy,
Okay.
please.
Yeah, if I may to Mr. Davis, wasn't there a fence there before? No?
That's a great question, Councilmember Toy. I felt obligated to say that right now.
That's
because-
all right. I
Yeah.
appreciate that, sir.
Not to my knowledge, there wasn't. Since I've been here, if you would have asked me 2 years ago, and our city attorney, I didn't even know there was a cemetery there before February of this year, actually. So I was kind of surprised there has not been that I've been aware of. And this is, I think, the only one of our cemeteries that is not fenced.
It leads me to that joke, why do cemeteries have fences? Because people are dying to get in there? Yeah. Anyhow, thank you, Mr. Davis. I'll end on that crazy note.
All right. We had,
It's been a long week.
has anybody offered?
Madam President,
Go ahead.
I'd like to offer an approving on consent if there is no objection.
All right. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we'll move along to item
you very
number
much.
4. Thank you, Ted.
It's a great presentation.
Request to accept proposals for contracted snow removal service for major storms. This comes to us from the Public Service Division for snowfall of over 4 inches for a 3-year period, 2021 through 22, 2022 through 23, and 2023 through 24. Mr. Roroff.
Good evening, Council. Don Roraff, DPW. We, as you know, come before you every year for assistance for our snow removal program with our contractors that come in and do approximately 30 to 35% of our snow clearing during an emergency. We solicited proposals for a 3-year contract for the snow removal assistance. And as it's been the last few years, we've only received 2 quotes back or 2 proposals back. We did reach out to the other contractors that have helped us in the past to see if we could get them to submit a proposal, but that was just to no response. And again, as I mentioned, these emergencies, they do about 30 to 35% of our 370 miles of roads. A sealed bid process doesn't really present a competitive pricing advantage because these contractors aren't really competing against themselves or against each other, and that really wouldn't change the outcome of what we're paying. So it is the recommendation of the department that council approve the 3-year contract with the following vendors: Great Lakes Contracting and B&V Earth Movers, and also waive the bid process according to city ordinance, as there would be no advantage to the city from competitive bidding. No additional appropriation is required since sufficient funds are available in the roads maintenance budget, and I would be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Yeah, sure.
Councilmember Toy.
Do these pick up leaves too? No.
Only when the snow comes.
Yes, sir. I mean, everything's in order, Madam Chair, and others, so I'm gonna offer an approving on that, so we get the snow cleared up when and if it ever comes, right?
I don't like to use those words, but yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yes, certainly.
Mr. Roraff, I'm just looking at this, and the quote for contracted snow removal service, under the column that says Monday through Friday, overtime and Saturday, just to be clear, does that say $50?
$50 per hour additional fees, yes.
Okay, just thought, my head wasn't sure that that was a 5. I appreciate it.
I didn't fill the form out, but I had the same question.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Madam President?
Yes, Councilmember McCullough.
Thank you. Through the chair to Mr. Roraf, just a quick question. I'm sure this is a yes, but, you know, obviously not going out to bid or through Mitten, is not always the best recommendation, but obviously I defer to you and your expertise in the area that, that the sole source route would be the best. In the event that either of these contractors do not work out, I just worry about the 3-year. I'm assuming that per this contract, you do have a way to get out of it. As the city, we do have the way to cancel it, and go back out to bid if you're not satisfied.
Yeah, and I think, I will answer your question, but to answer something that, you know, has been brought up in the past, these are the only companies. And we've been dealing with them for, you know, a long, long time, 30 years, give or take. They've always come in and done a great job for us. We've never had any problems. So to answer your question, yes, but I would not anticipate that being an issue at all. They've always been here and they've always been responsive for us, and they do a great job.
No, absolutely. I do value, you know, even coming through and stating that. So, no, I have no issues with it. I just want to make sure that you had everything, the X's crossed and the I's dotted.
All right, did we have that offered?
I did.
We did, right, for
Yeah.
consent, thank you. All right, that's on consent. Are you staying up here? I don't see you have any
I would be
sidekicks here,
happy
so I
to
guess
sit
number
down if
5
you-
is yours too. Request for authorization.
I'm here one more time, I think.
To purchase one asphalt zipper reclaimer. This comes to us from DPW from budgeted funds. We always like to hear that.
Thank you. As you mentioned, the asphalt zipper that we're looking at here, just to put things in perspective, we have 145 miles of asphalt roads. In the last 3 years, we spent about $3.8 million on repaving those roads. We're always trying to find a better way to do our jobs at DPW. We've been trying to bring more smaller scale work in-house, as you know, buying more road repair equipment and those type of things for our DPW staff. This piece of equipment will allow us to repair asphalt roads and cracks, the potholes, damage caused by tree roots, allowing us to go to these trouble spots, grind this out, pulverize the asphalt, use it as a base to put back down, which would be a better base than what we had down there previously with the mixture of the pulverized asphalt in there, and do spot repairs, extending those sections of the road and that life for that road. You know, making these repairs allows us to focus funds to do the larger scale projects for our road program. You know, in the other areas that we may not have had the opportunity to do if we have this piece of equipment. We have had this company out a couple of times to do demos for us in certain areas. It worked out perfectly. This machine is only manufactured by this company. They are the only sole provider. They've told us there's been 2 price increases, as I'm sure you've heard 1,000 times over the last few months. But they're willing to hold the pricing that we have here, which is a savings of about $19,000 at this point, if we make this purchase by the end of the year. So it is the recommendation of the department that council approve the purchase of this equipment from Asphalt Zipper at a cost of $180,200 from budgeted funds, and waive the bid process according to city ordinance, as there is no advantage to the city from competitive bidding. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Councilmember Donovic?
Thank you, Madam President. Mr. Roref, oftentimes you get the question about the county roads, the state roads, and the city roads. This piece of machinery is going to be intended to use for smaller repairs. Are we allowed to repair the small holes that we find on a county-owned road or a state-owned road? Or is this piece of machinery only allowed to be used for city-owned roads?
I'm going to borrow Ted Davis's statement. That's a great question. As anything that we have, we try not to make it a practice to go on a county road or a state road for that matter. Obviously, for a lot of reasons, you start going out and exhibiting that behavior, then it's going to become expected, and then you don't get the results that you need. If there was an emergency situation, this piece of equipment could definitely be taken out there and used for that. We've done it in the past where we've had, you know, debris that's fallen on road that we're getting no response, those type of things. But yes, it would be, its focus is on local for city roads that we have here. But if there was an emergency situation, we would definitely respond with it.
Well, I feel like a genius because that's exactly the answer I give to residents when they ask me. So Thanks, Mr. Roraff, and I'd like to
I'm glad I
offer,
spelled all that right.
I'd like to offer an approving on the consent if there's no objection.
I see no objections, so we'll put that on consent.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
Thank you, Don. All right, number 6 is a request for additions to the local street system for Act 51 computations. This comes to us from the Engineering Division for streets or portions thereof newly opened during 2021.
Good evening, City Council. This is an easy one. This is Livonia Manor 3, Bridge Street. We're just adding 123.5 lineal feet of road to the network that's required by the end of the year so that we can get funding for the state for Act 51 funds. Be happy to answer any questions if you have any further information or concerns. Thanks.
Questions? Councilmember McCullough.
I'd be happy to offer an approving for consent, if there are no objections.
All right, I see no objections. I'll be on consent. Item number 7 is request to extend the qualification-based selection QBS contracts with OHM Advisors, Hubble, Roth, and Clark, and Spalding DeDecker Associates in Anderson, Eckstein, and Westrick for 5 years. This comes to us from the Engineering Division to perform professional engineering services on various federal, state, and locally funded roads, bridges, storm sewer, sanitary sewer, water mains, traffic signal modernization, and pedestrian signal upgrades and other related projects from December 1st, 2021 through November 30th, 2026, Council Resolution 365-16.
Madam President, City Council members, as you're all well aware, we have 4 consultants that we selected previously. It did a 5-year extension, and now we're asking for another 5-year extension. The reason for the extension is because there's not enough work really for all 4, but we try to spread the wealth as best we can. Most of our annual road program is done by either AEW or OHM. We bring in HRC to help us with the water main or sanitary sewer issues, along with Spalding that helped us out on some of our previous road projects for federal aid money. So depending on the situation and the expertise and what they've had previously as far as information or the expertise in that area, we reach out to them to help us get a proposal. Obviously, with potential infrastructure bill coming forward, there may be some projects that we move forward here tonight. $1 million was given for a study, so obviously that'll come into play for Bell Creek stabilization. Look to work with our consultants to help neighbors in that area, obviously to help address the concerns. So it's been working out well. We didn't want to go out for an RFQ because it's a very expensive endeavor. It's very time consuming. Again, if there was a lot of work to be done out there, as you know, short supply, Wayne County's looking to do the permits through other consultants and inspections, and just wanted to extend it for 5 years. We can cancel or for the agreement anytime as we move forward with the law department. But again, it's served us well the last 5 years. But I do probably look in 2026 to go out for an RFQ at that time to see how things have progressed. But if there's an option, if the city council desires 2 years, 3 years from now, and things are heating up, we'd be happy to look at an alternative with their input. Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Yeah, yes, Councilmember Toy.
I just want to say, this was just a fabulous idea, and I think it's worked well for us, as you pointed out. And I don't hesitate to, offer that extended 5 years. I think, these companies have been excellent to work with for us, and the back and forth and the communication has been outstanding. So I can't see any reason not to do this. So, Madam Chair, I'm going to offer an approving and ask for it to be on consent.
All right, seeing no objections, we'll place that on consent. And we'd like to tell you that you don't have to come back, Mr. Zloncic, but we all know that's not true.
Mark would miss me. I got to make sure he's kept in check over here.
Yes, indeed, he did. A request, item number 8 is a request to approve the 2022 road repair program. This too comes from the Engineering Division, is reviewed by the Citizens Advisory Committee on Roads for the 10th year of the 10-year paving millage approved by Livonia residents. And by the way, Mr. Zloncic, that was a very nice, very well-done meeting. I know many people participate in it, but that's a really special thing that we do, that we give citizens the opportunity to come and have direct input and have questions answered about their roads. So thank you.
Thank you for attending, and again, thanks. As you know, it's the last year of the renewal millage in 2022. So we look forward to trying to capture all the information that we've done over the last 10 years. And we had a meeting, as you stated, back on October 27th, in which we invite all the public business owners to come out and address their concerns. We had three residents come out, but again, we do get calls throughout the year, and DPW does get calls in which they log, have spreadsheet on certain locations where we have selective slab repairs. But in general, basically involves street segments. This year, we're requesting 61 street segments, of which 32 are concrete, 29 are asphalt. It encompasses just over 13 miles of rehabilitation, of which we have 373 miles that we maintain in the city of Livonia. So I'm very proud of the fact that we can go out and help these residents, business owners along these streets to help bring the street back up to a good or fair condition, and appreciate their patience during the construction. As I stated before, we're looking for a renewal millage in 2022. I'm sure it'll be working with the law department to put on the ballot for next year in August. But a couple highlights I want to show on this next year's program for 2022 is Perrin was one of the ones down on Joy Road that was been talked about for a long time for a concrete reconstruct. In addition, we're doing a lot of work west of Farmington, south of a 7 Mile. In addition, Bainbridge, south of 7 Mile, was one that's been talked about for a while, so looking forward to getting that taken care of. And some other highlights, the county's actually gonna do Merriman Road between Schoolcraft and 5 Mile next year. The biggie, though, we're really blessed to see this one, is Farmington Road between Plymouth and Orange Lawn, to actually widen the road out so that way you don't have to jockey for position at the signal to go north. Either, do I go north, can I go right, so hopefully with the widening of 7 feet on the east side, we look forward to making that area a lot better, especially for the residents that traverse south along that corridor in the Sheldon Center that was recently developed with that area. So that was a couple of highlights I wanted to bring to your attention. Next year, we'll be going out for the PACER ratings. We go down and do it in-house, 373 miles typically in August, September, and we bring it back to the Citizens Advisory meeting, so we'll see what happens. We have also one of the members in the audience, Tom Carey, here, but just wanted to highlight the other issue was a resolution that we're looking forward to taking for City Council's approval. As we all know, we traverse the area of 5 in Newburgh, Farmington Road from 6 to 7 Mile, that's really bad on the southbound side. And looking at getting 5 in Farmington, obviously our police and fire go at these locations that are, very bumpy. I know Councilman Donovic had mentioned, can we go out and help fix these areas? So we're looking to, to participate with Wayne County, hopefully. They recently did 5 in Haggerty to resurface that before 275 shut down. So hopefully partner up with them next year to do these locations or work together to, get these areas addressed on a more expedited manner to help us in that area. So one of the other things that came from the meeting was the resolution that we'd like to have City Council have the clerk draft and take to Warren Evans and the County Commissioner Terry Marecki. In addition, the Citizens Advisory agreed with the recommendation of a budget of $3.8 million for asphalt, $5 million for concrete on the reconstruct, and $800,000 for selective slab. So a total of $9.6 million worth of improvements for next year in 2022 for the last year of the renewal millage. And I'd be happy to answer any questions, but hopefully that'll give you a couple of highlights that was discussed at that meeting. Look forward to working with the city council, as you know, and the residents and business owners next year to, again, get the roads fixed starting in the spring and working till late in the year during our annual construction season from April to November 15th. Thanks.
Awesome. Awesome.
Council Member McCullough?
Thank you, Madam President. Through the chair to Mr. Zalinsik. So the $1 million question that I do have is the trees.
Yes.
So we're kind of back to that, and I know that we do have an item in committee of a whole. And while I'm saying it right now, we're in more of a preventative mode now. We know what's gonna happen potentially with some of these road projects. So I don't have the answers, and I don't wanna slow this project down, but I'm just wondering if you have any more proactive measures to, because obviously we have the tree ordinance for everybody that's out there that we're still working that. I'm part of the council rep for the tree committee. So that is in development, but we're not there yet. Like I said, I wish I had a perfect resolution to ask, but I don't know. You seem like you might have something. So.
Well, we discussed it at the Citizens Advisory meeting. We had 2 meetings, one in September, then one in October. But their thought is, since it's the last year renewal millage, if there's mature trees that are hindering a road segment, that we skip that road segment and go on to the next one, just for the importance of getting the road repair program completed. However, again, we know on the sidetrack that there's ordinance could be coming through that conduit itself. I was hoping to have this earlier in October, but with everything going on, we'll probably have a list to City Council on the number of trees that could be impacted in January. as we work to get that intel to you guys itself. But again, you know, I would say that their direction was if there's a street segment that has to be moved because of mature trees, they talked about going to alternate Oakley over here in section 22, or just skipping that segment for this time and working through it until we're hoping that if we did our job right, the renewal millage will get another 10 years. And in the meantime, the tree ordinance issue will hopefully come to light by the time we go for bids or look at extending the contract itself. But again, we're, you know, anytime we can save a tree, we do that as best we can. 2 or 3 looks at it, but again, yeah, it's like an old car. You know, after 10 years, it can only run so much, and, you know, some have to be destroyed, some have to be limped along, and we try to do our best we can as far as maintaining a fine balance, you know, in the city.
And if I can, I do want to commend that. You know, after sitting in many meetings with Mr. Moore and the rest of the tree committee, there's a lot of thought and a lot of time and a lot of reinspection that goes into it. So that is very valued. That was the one thing that I think was surprising to a lot of the residents and how much thought goes into it. So kudos to that, and apologize that, you know, when you get that. I think that this plan is good. When will you generally get the demolition plan for these roads?
Well, you know, obviously, we got to go to city council on December 1st for your approval. We do a non-veto, and then we get the consultant to start design on that. But again, I would say in sometime in January that we could get a list of trees we think there could be impacted on the concrete streets. A lot of asphalt streets, obviously, there's no very minimal impact, 1 or 2 trees, but it'll be most on the concrete streets. I would say Brentwood is probably the biggest one in section 1.
And that does come before us again.
For your approval on the contract itself. But Brentwood would probably be the biggest one you're gonna deal with. Sussex is probably another one itself, but just give you a heads up, and then Jacqueline, west off of Middlebelt is probably the 3 critical areas where the trees could be impacted, based on, the reconstructs that are at those locations.
Sounds good. Then if we're gonna be revisiting this in a few months, I have no issues, and I would offer this for approving on consent if there are no objections.
Any objections?
No, no objection.
No, we'll place it on consent.
I just wanted to ask a couple quick questions.
Yes, please.
I wanted to say thank you very much for Hubbard Road. It's a great improvement, and the bike paths are awesome. People are using them, so thank you very much. I was also concerned about the trees because, you know, and I'm sure you don't, we don't want to go through what we went through before, obviously, and I still have people calling me on, you know, on the whole subject matter. So if we could, and I know that Councilman McCullough is conscientious of that, and we'll try and get that tree committee going, because it is intense and there is a lot to consider and all that. So I'm one to be a cheerleader on that, whatever we can do. Also, I wanted to ask, when is 5 Mile gonna be done at that bridge? I keep having to turn around.
We heard, you know, early December, but again,
Oh,
Mother
okay.
Nature could dictate something else, but I do see cranes out there, I do see activity, hub
Yeah.
activity, you see, they're like ants working up and down 275, trying to get the crossovers completed, and very, very fortunate to have good weather to, get the joint sealing on further south on the patches itself. So I think, knock on wood, we can hopefully get it done early December is what we heard from MDOT.
Yeah.
And, that way we can all go across the street to, go to Kroger, get your car washed, or
Yeah, do a
hit
little
the shopping
golf
plaza.
and things like that,
Exactly.
yeah.
Quintoros.
No, I appreciate that. And lastly, I just wanted to ask, too, did you need a resolution for the county? I heard you say?
We provided a attachment there, so we wanted your approval on we just attached that as a backup
you-
for Citizens Advisory Resolution, but also ask for City Council to certify that resolution to be sent from the clerk office to Warren Evans and to Terry Marecki for
Sure.
the record.
And isn't there another commissioner as well? Kosick? David Kniezek.
Kniezek.
I always call him Kosick, but it's Kniezek. Yeah,
Yeah, so if
I think he takes in a little part of Livonia still. if
you weren't
I'm
sure with the
not-
redistrict.
Yeah, you never know about the redistricting.
A good point,
But, is that part of what McCullough moved then, or do you need it separate?
If you can have a separate one, that would be great also.
Okay, did you want to move that, Councilman, then?
Offer that on consent as well,
Yeah.
if there are no objections
Yep.
to both commissioners.
Wait, we
And
have,
Warren Evans?
No.
There's 2 separate resolutions.
at
We've-
9.6 million.
I apologize, we had just Marecki, but I do believe Councilman Toy and McCullough, it'd be ideal to have both commissioners, send the certified resolution. So thank you for the correction on that matter.
Oh, that's all right. Oh. I know
All
my
right.
government sometimes.
Anyone else?
Madam President,
Yes, Vice President Bart.
just no more issues on this. I just want to take the opportunity, Councilman McCullough, you mentioned the tree committee. Can you just, I'm putting you on the spot here, but can you just give us a quick update on, like, I don't know how often that group meets, when they last met, when they meet next, and when you anticipate, I've heard a lot of talk about this tree ordinance, when do you anticipate something coming forward for that?
So, yeah, no, thank you, Vice President Barr. Right now, the tree committee has been meeting monthly. We actually have a meeting tomorrow at 10:30. We've also had study sessions, so kind of the directive that has been the approach to get the tree ordinance is the tree committee is to give our wish list. So we're gonna provide staff and administration a wish list of our wants and needs. From there, it's gonna go through administrative review, and then I did ask that it would go through consultant review before it would potentially go back to the tree committee for that blessing, and then from there, it would be coming before us. Timeline-wise, I know that the wish list, which was very, very long from the tree committee, has moved on to administration. I would suggest that probably the first quarter of next fiscal year, we might be seeing something, at least being packaged, depending on how far along consultant review. Could be longer, but I know it's not a very slow process, but we're taking our time to make sure. A lot of people have read in the news, I know Canton, they've been a lot of unconstitutional rulings to the tree committee. So we want to make sure we, stay away from, I think one of the key issues was the private property and staying away from that mechanism. But we're analyzing tree credits, landmark trees, stuff that we probably should have had in place, but using the other ordinances that have been newsworthy to use almost as our gauge. So hopefully first quarter, if I could guess, I would say March, April of next year.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Thank you. All right, item number 9. This is a request for a 1-year extension of a site plan approval. This comes to us from the Planning Commission regarding petition 2019-12-08-16 submitted by Ali Hamouche, previously approved by City Council on March 11th, 2020, in condition with the proposal to construct an addition and remodel the interior and exterior of an existing gas station, Shell, at 33411 6 Mile Road, located in the southwest corner of 6 Mile and Farmington Roads, in the northeast quarter of Section 16. Notification was sent to Ali Hamouche of Premier Realty and Nasser Shukar of NC Designers. Mr. Termina.
As you indicated, this is a request for a 1-year extension of a site plan. This is a Shell gas station at 6 in Farmington. The addition on the building is about 500, a little under 600 square feet, added to the existing 2,000 square foot building. Council approved this back in March. Zoning Board of Appeals approved variances in September, so that extended the life of the site plan, but they do need to extend it, and the issue there was really the difficulties in finding a general contractor. But he is moving forward and is requesting the extension.
Madam President.
Donovic.
Oh.
Councilmember Donovic.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to offer an approving for consent if there's no objections. I was at the Planning Commission meeting recently and spoke to the owner, and he basically elaborated that they want to move forward with the project, but they've been having difficulties with contractors, and when they do find contractors, they have difficulties with the contractor actually having people to carry out the job. And I've spoken to a lot of people in the construction industry, and this seems to be unfortunately very common amongst this industry and a lot of industries actually with labor workforce. Thank you, Madam President.
All right, that's a request to put on consent with no objections. We'll place it on the consent agenda. All right, item number 10, this comes to us from the Planning Commission regarding petition 2021-08-02-016 submitted by Melody Hastings, requesting to operate a daycare nursery, Kid Venture Child Care Center at 10531 Farmington Road, located on the west side of Farmington Road between Orange Lawn Avenue and Plymouth Road. Excuse me. In the northeast quarter of Section 33. I apologize for that long week, and it's only Monday. We have a letter, we have new data to let us know that the owner is the same, the current, all past due taxes were paid in full as of November 4th, 2021 by e-check. So there we go. All right. Mr. Termina?
Thank you. Again, this is a request, it's a waiver use request for a child daycare nursery. This property is on Farmington Road. It's south of Plymouth Road. It's a former office building. It was part of a medical office complex that was known as Orange Lawn Professional Center. It's an older building. It was constructed in 1963, one of three buildings, actually. The petitioner is looking to repurpose this building as a daycare center. It's set up well for that use. Planning Commission spent some time with this applicant, rearranging some of the parking and circulation on the site. The one aspect of the request that will require a modification to one of the special requirements is the size of the play area. Our ordinance requires a minimum size of 5,000 square feet. The state, on the other hand, only requires 1,200 square feet. In this case, she's pretty much splitting the difference. She's showing an area that's about 3,000 square feet located behind the building. But again, the council can approve this smaller play area. It would require a separate resolution in which 5 members of council concur. Parking is adequate on the site. Again, Planning Commission went over the drop-off arrangement for this site. We rearranged the parking, also addressed issues regarding fencing around the outdoor play area, how trash was going to be handled. There are no building exterior modifications proposed. Really, they're going to keep the building as it is. And with that, Madam President, I'll answer any questions that you may have. It does come to you with an approving recommendation.
Madam President,
Yes, Councilmember.
I'll offer an approving for consent and an approval of the needed waiver for the play yard size for the regular agenda, because I believe it has to be on the regular, correct?
That's correct.
Any comments, discussion? Councilmember Donovan.
Thank you, Madam President. Mr. Romina, I'm not sure if the petitioner is here tonight or not.
She is.
Oh, hi, welcome. Do we know how many children can be accommodated here at one time? Is our max of 100 kids a day, or how does that equation sort of work out?
That determination is made by the state. These will be children ranging in age from infant to 12 years. Ms. Hastings may have an update. I know she's been working with the state to try to fix that number, but I'm not sure if that has been accomplished yet, so.
And then another question I had is, when you start having that I'm very excited about this project. You're repurposing an old building and bringing it back to life. With as many children as they have, in terms of, you made the comment about trash, how is trash handled here? Is it just a trash can that GFL comes and picks up, or is it an actual dumpster enclosure outside with a 3-yard dumpster, et cetera?
In this particular instance, it's going to be curbside only. They do not generate sufficient trash to really require a separate dumpster. So I believe the end result was just continue with curbside pickup.
Okay, and then do they have some sort of signage outside, a lit up sign or anything?
Yeah,
or-
there's an existing sign. If you
Okay,
look
yeah.
at this aerial, or this photograph, you can see the existing sign. I'm sure that'll just be refaced.
Yeah. And then the last question, I'm sorry, what kind of security precautions does the city mandate security precautions on these sorts of developments nowadays, or does the state? How does that work?
I think the state would address certain security issues, but again, Ms. Hastings is here and can probably answer that better than I can.
Thanks, Mr. Tormey, I appreciate your answers.
All right. We have questions for the petitioner then. Anyone else before we go to the petitioner? All right, is Ms. Hastings here? Good evening.
Good evening.
And if you would give us your name and address, please?
Yes, my name is Melody Hastings. My address is 2380 Stockmeyer Road, Westland, Michigan, 48186.
All right. Mr. Donovan, you had a question?
Thanks, Madam President. Welcome to Livonia. Thanks for picking our community, and wishing you the best of luck on this future project. Just one of the questions I had was the security thing, out of curiosity, with public safety and whatnot, communities. What kind of precautions does your type of business have to take nowadays?
Well, as far as like coming in and out, the door like has to be locked out all the time, so there will be like a buzzer to where we like will let parents or anyone in, or like for staff, maybe like a key kind of entrance kind of thing, but I'm working on which I would like to choose, but it definitely has to be locked and have to let them in.
Awesome. All right, well, other than that, I think my questions were answered, so thanks so much and welcome.
Yes, no problem, thank you.
Councilmember Toy?
Ms. Hastings, have you run a facility like this before and/or worked at a facility like this?
Yes,
Yep. And do you have a degree in early
Well-
childhood or anything?
I have a CDA.
Oh, do you? Okay, great, great. Well, thank you and welcome.
Yes, thank you as well.
All right. Anyone else? So we have that offered, and approving offered?
I thought so.
Yeah.
Correct.
that's on the
I offered
regular,
both
yeah.
resolutions, yes.
Yep. All right, we'll put that on that'll be on the regular agenda.
Okay.
So if you will come back and see us at our next meeting in 2 weeks.
All right, thank you.
All right? Thank you very much, and thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you as well, everyone. Have a good night.
You too. All right, item number 11, this is a waiver petition. This comes to us from the Planning Commission regarding petition 2021-09-02-17 submitted by Airgas USA LLC requesting to develop and operate an outdoor storage yard for gas cylinders at 30441 Plymouth Road, located on the south side of Plymouth Road between Middle Belt and Merriman Roads in the northwest quarter of Section 35. Mr. Termine.
Thank you. Again, another waiver use petition. This one comes to us from Airgas USA. They are the new occupant of the former Viscount Pool building on the south side of Plymouth Road between Merriman and Middle Belt Road. So this property is immediately adjacent to the Quality Inn. The building has been there for many years, has been several uses over the years. It's a good-sized building, about 6,000 square feet. As I said, Airgas is in that building and operating. There is a storage area behind the building that Airgas would like to use for its purpose of storing various compressed gas products. These are cylinders. These include oxygen, nitrogen, carbon dioxide, argon, propane, and acetylene. Planning Commission reviewed this petition carefully, consulting with the fire marshal. He's on top of this. They've been in contact with them regarding the storage. The storage area itself is about 225 feet from the closest residential property. One of the things Planning Commission wanted to see was an obscuring fence along the south side of the storage area to further screen that area from view from the residents. Parking is adequate on the site. Other minor deficiencies were addressed as part of the petition and are reflected in the resolution. And again, the Planning Commission is recommending approval.
Councilmember Donovan.
Thanks, Madam President. I just want to make a comment. I feel like you guys have been following me. I was at the Planning Commission meeting and listening to you guys present, and it was going great. And now I keep seeing Airgas signs all over different commercial buildings across the city and other cities. So it looks like you guys have a pretty wide range of customers and whatnot. So congratulations. I think everything's in order at the Planning Commission. Some of the commissioners had suggestions, and from what it seems like, from the plans, you guys have all met those, so I'd like to offer an approving with consent, if there's no objections.
Any comments? All right, we'll place that on the consent agenda then for approval, so you do not need to come back.
Very good.
Hanley,
Thank you
very
all so much.
All right. Item number 12, this is a signed petition. This comes to us from the Planning Commission, petition 2021-08-SN-02 submitted by Stark Road Holdings LLC on behalf of the Livonia Athletic District LID, requesting to install multiple wall signs on the multi-purpose recreational facility at 14255 Stark Road, located on the west side of Stark Road, between Schoolcraft Road and Linden Avenue in the southeast quarter of Section 21. And we have new data on this item, and that the letter had to do with the new data has to do with entry awnings, perhaps being under the purview of city council. And I'm trying to see if there's, did I get the,
Yeah, and I can
there was
explain that.
additional information in
Sure.
here about the awnings.
Yes.
So I was asking the question about whether the council was responsible, had authority over the awnings, and then information about the design of the awnings.
Thank you, Madam
Thank you,
President.
Mark.
Again, this is this is a sign request in this case, and it involves the former YMCA building. The name given for the project and for the facility is the Livonia Athletic District. The owners have been undertaking substantial renovations to the interior of that building, getting it ready for occupancy on a phased approach. But what they're requesting this evening really pertains only to signage. And there's a number of signs to help identify the building and the various users. Again, this is be a multi-tenant facility. But the main purpose is really to advertise the Livonia Athletic District. And for that purpose, they're proposing a series of signs along the east elevation of the building. This is the side of the building facing Stark Road. And that's this lower view, if you will. You can see where Livonia Athletic District would be identified as a main identification sign here in the south portion of the building. This logo that's centrally located on the building, that's something that the Planning Commission has actually asked that they reduce the size of that down to 36 square feet. There are some vinyl logos or emblems, if you will, placed on some of the windows. These are roughly about 7 square feet each. And then when you turn the corner of the building and look at the north elevation, an additional sign, this is further west on the building, again, advertising Livonia Athletic District. This is closer to where the main entrance to the building is, which is located here. And then there's a multi-tenant sign, which will probably not be visible or legible to passerbys on Stark Road, but it does qualify as a sign nonetheless. That too is on the north side of the building. So altogether, they are requesting a number of signs. This is a residential zone property, so they're limited, very, very strictly limited on the amount of signage. So all this would have to be reviewed and approved by the Zoning Board of Appeals, but it does require council approval as well. The issue with the awnings kind of came up late in the building review and inspection process, and we had actually signed off on that, those features very early in the review of the exterior building modifications. We view these awnings as an architectural feature and not as signage. We went over that again with the building department when this issue came up last week. And what those are just a series of mesh panels, metal mesh panels that are located at a couple of places along the front of the building that are backlit. And so we felt, again, that didn't really constitute signage. It was actually an architectural feature and could be reviewed as such and approved as such. Excuse me. Thank you.
All right. Council? Councilmember McCullough?
Thank you, Madam President. Through the chair to Mr. Tomina, the signs that are facing the east, how are those illuminated?
Yeah, so the original concept was to paint those on the brick. Planning Commission objected to that, so these are now going to be aluminum type signs. Let me see if I have an example of what that looks like. I apologize, I don't, but we did get an example of that provided to us. And those will be lit, I think either through sconces on the building or, I think it's ground lighting, is that?
Correct.
Yeah, they're gonna be ground lit, so they will not be internally illuminated. They're aluminum panel signs.
Overall, I think it brands the building that's been there for quite a long time. And again, I know the petitioner is staying right here, but what an investment to come into the community. What was the original size of the 36 square feet? Was the LED? What was it?
So the logo originally was 121 square feet. They came back at 68 square feet, and the planning commission has approved 36 square feet. So it's a substantial reduction from the original proposal.
And that one would be ground lit.
That too would be ground lit, yes. I think all the only exception is going to be the multi-tenant sign located on the north side of the building.
I think my main concern is the east, because that's where we do have the residential that's abutting right
Correct.
across the street.
Correct.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Madam President.
Vice President Burr?
So,
Shelley?
Mark, I was just quickly reviewing the planning commission meeting minutes here, and I haven't gotten through all of them yet, but, so maybe this is in there. For the YMCA, they had a monument sign, if I recall correctly, right?
Correct.
And that's being removed, is that right?
I believe that's the intent.
Okay, isn't it typical for us to ask for a monument sign in lieu of the signage on the building for something like this?
Not always. You know, the YMCA had limited wall signage, and they may have attempted for signage in the past, but was either rejected. I know that when they came to us some years ago for the monument sign, they wanted a much larger sign, and they ended up with a rather small monument sign on that site.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And
that
I
it was-
don't know that it served their
I agree with
purpose.
you, the monument sign was probably too small, but I thought, I don't know exactly what our rules are, but I thought throughout the city, we try to push people towards the monument signs versus the building signs, and I guess I'm trying to understand why this would be different. It seems like an appropriate sized monument sign would serve the purpose nicely, without dealing with some of the issues that the planning commission appears to have raised, which, again, I haven't finished reading all the minutes yet.
Yeah, it could help. You know, the YMCA was such a destination location. I think it probably didn't have the issues that this is likely to have in terms of brand identification and visibility. So the monument sign would help. We could also see the need for some wall signs in addition.
Yeah, I guess I'm just, talk about the visibility. I saw in the planning commission meetings, I actually found it humorous that they said they're competing with the St. Joe Sports Dome. I'm sorry, you're not competing with the St. Joe Sports Dome for eyeballs. Nobody's driving down the road and going, oh, I see the dome, but I don't see that. They're not even close to each other. So, I just feel like, it's not on a major road. Anybody that's going there is either going there already because they know they're going there, or they're driving by at 25, 30 mile an hour, whichever one of those. I think it's 25 mile on that road, and it's a prominent building. I don't see the need to do a waiver or depart from what Livonia's done in the past for the signage on the side of this building. To me, it seems like a monument sign would be adequate. So,
Again, the monument sign is small to be the only sign for this use. I would suggest or offer that. So I'll just give you my professional opinion.
Yeah,
regarding
no, I
the
appreciate
use of
that.
the monument sign.
But I just think we have Outback Steakhouse on Middle Belt Road, which is incredibly busy. All they have is a monument sign. It's just one that comes to mind. We could think of a lot of other places that it works fine. I'm just struggling to see the need for all this building signage. Thanks.
Jolly, and then Donovan.
Thank you, Madam President. So in terms of just sharing my opinion in regards to this, I understand what Mr. Barr is saying. I think this might be an opportunity, though, to kind of refresh and kind of rebrand an older building to be more modern. I like the idea of the metal signage. I think with as big as the building is, I would also worry about making the sign too small, because it is an opportunity to brand it and kind of bring a little life into like an older brick building that's been there forever. So I'll offer an approving for I'll leave it to my colleagues. Thank you.
Councilmember Donovan?
Along the lines of what Mr. Jolly said, I think this is an awesome opportunity. You have a building that's been there for a very long time, that's been struggling for a very long time, but offers so much opportunity and potential to Livonia. So with that being said, I understand some of the decisions in the past for signage and whatnot, but This is a very modern, sleek design that I see other communities doing. I think it's gonna be really cool. I'm not a fan of the ground lighting. I do think that's kind of cheap way. I think to really capture what this signage, the way I envision it in my mind, would have been much better as backlit. So I think you guys are kind of being, I think it should be backlit as opposed to just the ground lighting to really capture what this can offer. But regardless, I'm really excited about the signage and the kind of modern designs and the future of what this site's gonna offer. I mean, we've had the chance to tour it, and I know there's some other ideas out there that I think are just gonna continue to make this area more of a destination. And I don't think that the typical marquee sign will be adequate at this location. I think taking advantage of the newer designs, the newer modern appeals that I've seen other modern developments take advantage of, I think this will be great for this location. Thanks, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
If I may again.
I think Vice President Barr wanted to go, and then,
Jolly can go, it's fine. I'll go after him.
So just to add on, well, to kind of maybe rebut, unintentionally rebut, in terms of the type of signage that they have provided in the packet here, I don't see how that would be backlit. They're like metal signage that would be affixed to the building if you look at the computer. So maybe, is it possible that you would provide the lighting for these metal signs from above? So it's not on the ground, or would that have any kind of impact in terms of what you're trying to do there? 'Cause the light coming from below does have the potential to become skewed more or kind of, you know, in some way, I don't want to say vandalized, but it could become altered from where you would like to have it shining, right?
Correct. I understand.
Would you be open to lighting it from above?
See,
Or what are the challenges here?
in terms of the lighting package, I wasn't a part of the group that put it together. We have a development group and an architectural and graphic design group that put that together. In terms of how the functionality would work, I really wouldn't be the expert to answer that question. But we can propose it to our architectural and graphic design group.
Okay, so why don't we keep this on the regular and then come back to us with that kind of information? I'd like to just see if you could follow up and see if it was possible to light it from above in a way that would be appropriate, or if that's not possible, explain to us why that's possible, why it's not possible, rather. Thank you.
Madam President,
Vice President Barr,
I'd like to offer denying for consideration. Thanks.
okay.
Madam President.
So we have a approving offered and a denying. Councilmember Donovan?
Thanks, Madam President. I just wanted to also clarify, I would still approve it with the ground lighting. I understand what my colleagues are saying. Maybe it isn't possible. That was just my personal preference, but I understand the difficulties. I think that the petitioners have gone above and beyond trying to work with the city and trying to have a good middle ground. I think we've accomplished that. I'm not going to be held up on the lighting, so to speak. I'm not the expert in lighting and the signage. I think what you've proposed is really sleek and really modern. But with that being said, that was just a personal, maybe I don't know what I'm talking about in terms of lighting, but I do like it either way. Thank you so much. Thanks, Madam President.
Thank you. Councilmember McCullough?
Thank you, Madam President. I guess the question, if there's an approving and there's a denying, Councilman Jolly did bring up the fact of we'll leave the size out there. We have the ability as council to approve bigger, correct, Mr. Tormina?
You could recommend larger signs. It's still going to be subject to the zoning board of appeals.
I would at least throw in there the 59 square feet that's listed in the packet if we're gonna go for it. And Councilman Jolly does bring up a good point. You do have a lot of the baseball, the hockey programming that happens right across the street. And, I'm not a businessman, but, if you're seeing that, you're gonna see the sign from there and it might draw in some attraction. To touch base on the ground lights, that elevation is a little higher than the residential across the street. I would recommend keeping the ground lights, because if not, you're gonna be in a situation where you'd have to shield it, and the luminosity could hit into the windows, just my opinion. So
I'm fine with that.
if I may, just add the 59 square feet, if you're amicable to that.
I'll adopt that.
I'm sorry, Mark.
Just clarification on which sign we're talking, the 59 square feet.
The LED.
the logo sign on the front of the building. So you, rather than 36 square feet, you're suggesting 59?
That's listed
It was
currently.
originally, the revised size was 68 square feet.
Oh, then let's go with the 68. I'm reading something else different in here. You know what, I'm actually reading the Livonia Athletic District.
Okay.
That
yes.
is if the petitioner.
But you were referring to the
would-
logo, so it is 68.
Okay.
Yeah, excuse me, I didn't share my name and address. Joseph DeRotai, 14255 Stark Road.
Thank you, I forgot to ask you for that.
Thank you. And your question is if we care to stick to the original plan of 68 square feet for the original signage? Yeah, that's, to us, that's no problem. It's just going back to the original plan, so.
All right, so we have an approving and a denying offer, and 68 square feet, correct? Okay. All right, so we will see you back here in 2 weeks.
Thank you very much.
All right, anything else? All right. Item number 13 is the proposed 2022 city council meeting schedule. It comes to the council from me, the city council president, in accordance with the provisions of the Open Meetings Act 1976, Public Act 267 is amended, and I had asked for, I had made a few suggestions and solicited input from all of my colleagues before Sarah finalized the schedule.
Madam
Scott?
President, I'll offer approving for consent if there's no objection.
All right, okay, it's on the consent. And anyone from the audience wish to communicate with the council? Okay, with that, we are adjourned. Good night, Livonia. Thank you, Livonia TV. Thank you to everybody who tuned in tonight.